So you get to know Harry.
Yeah, I met Harry Hill on Radio 4 used to have a show called Weekending, right?
Right.
Pun intended and all that, which was a satire show that would go on a Friday night and a Saturday repeat once a week with impressionists. So this is all pre-Dead Ringers, right? But basically, the way they ran it was really interesting. So they would have their team of commissioned writers, but on a Tuesday, I think, they would have an open non-comms meeting, and you could just walk into the Beeb and pitch.
Wow.
And the producer would sit there at his desk, and it'd be a room full of sort of radio writers, sort of tramps, basically.
It's like X Factor, but for Radio 4.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you got on enough stuff on,
yeah,
they'd commission you, right? And then you'd be one of the people kind of in their mind for writing sitcoms or working on the news quiz or whatever, right? And you could and this is another example of this. So one of the things about Stu Lee is he was in the year above me at uni. He's my age. He's only a month older than me, but I took a year out. He didn't, right?
Right, yeah.
So he was in the year above me, and he's always. George Harrison once said about Paul McCartney. He said, "Paul's in the year above me at school, and he has been ever since." Right.
Yeah.
And Stu's a bit like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the Stu's kind of in the year above everyone, I think. It's the point. Right? Yeah. God love him. But basically, him and Rich had gone to London and done this and had got commissioned and had got into sort of the Radio 4 writing bit.
Yeah.
Right? Which led to the thing that eventually became Fist of Fun and all that Lee and Harry stuff, right? And so it just thought, well...
And on the hour, I imagine.
That's right, yeah, because they wrote on that. Yeah. So they basically were like, they'd gone and done it. So you think... And I remember, you know what you're like when you're 21. I think, well, I'm funnier than Stu, right? I get more laughs than he does. Because you're a dick when you're that age. And if he can do it, I can do it. So I started going with a couple of mates, and we got commissioned. And when we were commissioned, Jon Magnusson came in, who's the producer, who did all of Graham Norton stuff eventually. He was commissioning writers, and he commissioned Harry because he knew Harry from the circuit, because he wanted something completely different in the mix. Because all those, there's a book about weekending that some guy's done, which is a compilation of every sketch, every episode, every sketch, every writer, right, and a little summary. It's amazing. This labour of love. It took him a decade or something to put.
That's fantastic. Could people get that on like Prime or something?
Yeah. And it's called, I think it's called Prime Minister You Wanted to See Me, right? Because every sketch, basically, because you know what impressions are like, right? Every sketch, someone will come and go, Prime Minister You Wanted to See Me. Ah, yes, Foreign Secretary. You're like, because how else do you know who it is, right?
Yeah,
right? Because there's no pictures, right? And Harry came in, and you probably be able to date this to the week. Harry came in, and it was the story, and this is like folk memory: leaves on the line and the railway, right?
Right.
They couldn't get the trains to move because of leaves on the line. I remember my dad explaining actually what that was about, right? Because he was so angry about it because he's a railwayman.
Brilliant.
He's going. They want this new rolling stock that's lighter, that's faster, that's more like energy efficient. They want that for the environment, but they won't let us cut the trees down along the track for the environment. And the problem is the old trains were heavier and they'd scoop the leaves off as they went. But the new trains can't because they're lighter because they're more energy efficient, right? For the environment. Right? And you could set him off. It was good fun anyway. Yeah. But basically, Harry came in and said, it was the week of leaves on the line, right?
By the way, that sounds a bit... You tell me, what you just said about the leaves on this line, that sounds like something the landlord could do.
Yeah, it's entirely his territory, right? Yeah. And, also making bad excuses for British things rather than... of course, we invented trains, we can do what we like with them, all that, right? Yeah. And Harry came in and he suggested a sketch about an enormous conker rolling down in front of a tunnel, right?
Right.
And this is in a writer's room where people are trying to write satire.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this guy's like, he's completely different. This is different gravy, right? So we started hanging out. We did some gigs together. And he used to get me to do voices for him in his Edinburgh shows. I'd sit backstage and do funny voices. Because it's the thing... One of the things I've always actually really wanted to do was do funny voices and stuff. It's never kind of worked out like that for me. But anyway, because I think quite
well, you say that, but you do. Oh God, You remind
Spitting
me.
Image.
You do
I've done-
Spitting Image.
but that's only been really recently
Yeah.
that I've got involved. In the last 5 years, I've got involved in that. Never did them before. Never really done them at all. Right? It just didn't work out.
I mean, your whole
Well, the character's a funny voice.
It's a
arguably.
voice.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. But you know
absolutely.
what I mean.
I do know what you mean. But it is there.
Yeah. But I always kind of imagined, I'd be doing the old animation. Right? It's just never.
Oh, okay.
It's never
Right.
happened.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? Because things have gone fine. I'm not.
No,
I'm not whinging.
Don't worry. No
I'm
one
not,
thinks.
I'm not complaining,
Don't worry,
Sean.
no one
I'm not
thinks.
compla- Anyway. But the point is, and we really hit it off, right? And the thing about Harry that was different about Harry compared to a lot of the other people I knew is because he'd come out of medical school, so he'd quit being a doctor because he hated it.
Yeah.
Right. And his work ethic was like bizarre. It was like, what do you mean you get up in the morning and you write? Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about, right? And I remember we were driving somewhere, and we were having a really good fun doing these sort of student gigs, right? And he said, you know what, Al, you're really good at this, right? I think you're really good at this. You've got it, but you're really lazy, right? He said, if you applied yourself, you'd probably get somewhere, right? And I said, yeah, but I'm having fun. He says, no. He says, what if you have children down the line, right?
Oh my God! Wow. How old are you at this?
I was probably 24, and he would have been 27, 28, because he's a few years older than me.
Yeah.
And he basically said, if you have children down the line, it'll be your responsibility to work hard for them, like, right? And I'm like, what is this? Huh?
That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah. What? Right? But then it really, it's one of those things that afterwards it dawned on me, the guy's right. Of course he's right.
Yeah.
And then working with him, I came up with the Pub Landlord, like in the show with him by accident, like needed to fill a gap in a thing.
Yeah.
Came up with it. And the big difference between that and my old sound effects turn was because it's just an attitude. So you can point it at anything, right?
Yeah.
Point at any subject. It's an attitude. It's a bottomless pit, right? Because the margins are really clearly worked out, so you don't have to figure them out. You just run the subjects through it, turn the handle, right? Is the way I see it, right? And I became completely obsessed with writing and doing stand up, and it was
through the landlord.
Yeah, through the landlord. But that was also because we worked really closely on that show for like a year, and I just was like blown away by how hard he worked.
Yeah,
and he was having a really, really ace run. He was very hot straight away, Harry.
Yeah,
and you sort of think, well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Right?
Yeah. When you're hungover.
Maybe
I could do with some success.
Maybe I need to get my finger out.
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
I
yeah.
became, I just like totally threw myself at it. And the thing is, the club circuit was a different animal, and you could work, all week. You could work every night of the week, and you could definitely do 2 or 3 on a Friday, and definitely do 2 or 3, even 4 on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And just really, so I did, there's about 4 years or 4 or 5 years where I would be doing 400 gigs a year minimum, right? Just pumping the handle. And the thing is, I always used to say, if you do that and you come out the other end crap, it's not for you. Right?
I don't think it's for you.
Yeah.
You've done more gigs than there are days in a year.
Yeah. Because you could, because you do 3 on a Friday easily. And if you were doing the big jonglers, the big room at jonglers, and the thing of that used the jonglers in Dingwalls in Camden was like a 300.
Yeah.
And I remember Phil Jupiter going, this is the only place where you can play a big room in London. And you think of it now, it's not a very big room, not really, but at the time it was like as close as you to get to a larger room.
Yes.
Big club. And they had an early show and a late show. So you'd be on first half early show, second half late show, and you go somewhere else in between.
Yeah.
And zip about.
Yeah.
And I basically, like I said, I did that sort of for 5 years, and that made me good at it.
Yes.
Right.
Was it just the gigging, Al? Well, you say, you had this conversation with Harry.
Yeah.
You decide, right, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to give my all for this. What did that? So were you then waking up early in the morning and deciding?
Yeah,
right,
I'd get up and write, and I decided, and I don't do this anymore because I did it then. It's sort of like, it's sort of like doing the scales on the piano, right? That you don't need, if you can do them now and again, but if I have to write a show, I don't work the way I did 30 years ago. I don't know 25 years ago. I just don't need to do that anymore.
Yes,
because I've really got it, particularly with the character, got it very figured. But like I was obsessed, and I also did that thing of for Edinburgh, I would be super prepared for so I'd have basically in September I'd get home and I'd actually tear my set list up literally, and start again, start from scratch, build a new 20, and then I'd end up with I'd always end up running over, and in April I'd start cutting, May I'd start previewing, June I'd have it ready, July because also the gigs would tail off on the club circuit in July, so there wasn't as much stage time to be had. So it meant, and I used to sometimes I'd get to Edinburgh and there'd be friends of mine who were still like, oh, I haven't finished it yet, and you'd thinking, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're mad, right? What are you doing? Right? You could have done this in April, right?
Yeah.
And that attitude maybe didn't endear me to anybody, but that was like I was completely ruthless about it. And I 4 years, because one of the things you get if you do a character, one of the things people say to you when you do a character, which they never say to regular stand-ups, is that's the same character. Yeah. Jack D's hasn't suddenly gone cheerful, right?
Yeah.
Harry hasn't decided to go deadpan.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Stu hasn't pivoted to observational.
No.
You know what I mean? It's your voice.
Unfortunately, that would be fun.
Well, it would be interesting, wouldn't it? If he suddenly went, where's the Lost Biros, right? But you know what I mean, right? But if you do a character, they always say it was just the same.
Oh, right. I wouldn't know.
Well, no, but that's the thing
that's
the thing you run into. So what I made sure, so the first 4 years, those 4 Edinburghs I did in the 90s, I wrote a complete, I would have one joke that I'd allow myself from last year as a sort of like the handing over the baton, the remake.
Yeah. One
gag, I'd say, that gag from last year, and it'd be a one-liner. That's the one bit left over from last year, and I'd pass it on. And I was absolutely ruthless about making sure the show was different every time.
Yes.
You'd still have people go, it's just the same act. You're like, yeah, it is, right? But this is a completely word for word different show.
Yeah.
So you might think that, and then I'd also think there are stand-ups whose their attitude, because it's an attitude. Stand-up is about offering an attitude.
Absolutely.
They got the same attitude as they had last year, and I know damn well that half that show's the same as last year. And yet here I am being accused of not having changed or moved it on.
Do you think a theory I'll put out there, which is mine? I'm worried to vocalise it now, to broadcast it, but is that a persona is a character, but it's based on you.
Yeah.
Whereas a character is based on someone else or other people.
Or something else.
else.
Yeah.
And so, that's what, when you see Jack, it's based on a part of Jack. It's not the whole Jack D, that is.
Yeah.
For example.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
But I think what it goes to is that I don't want to talk about myself.
What's that? Can we unpack that?
Yeah,
I feel
sure.
like a therapist. But what is that, I suppose?
I just don't think I'm quite genuinely don't think what happens to me is interesting enough. Right?
Yeah.
Chris Ramsey is a mate of mine because he opened for me years and years ago on a tour once, and we I absolutely love the guy. But I remember there was one time where he was staying in a hotel and he got arrested.
What?
Right? In case of mistaken identity and got nicked.
Ramsey,
right? And he messaged me going, you won't fucking believe what's happened to me. And all this. I said, you absolute bastard, right? There's your show for next year. I'm going, I have to make this crap up, right? Right? Yeah. You just have stuff happen to you. And you got a winning way, right?
Yeah.
Fuck you, right?
Yes,
I've got to make this up. I've got to come up with, I've got to decide on a subject, think of the angles, think of what the landlord would think of it, which is actually fine, but it's just that, so, and I just don't think, it's just not for me. And I remember Brendan Burns talking about this. It's really interesting, Brendan, because sometimes what happens, you'll read a critic going, well, comedy ought to be this. And you think, what are you talking about? It can be anything you want. Right?
Totally.
Do what you want, right?
Of course.
I don't have to talk about myself. Don't want it.
No,
right?
no.
Not interested. And Brendan said, basically, comedians always end up doing the thing they're good at, right? They gravitate towards the thing they're good at. So Tim Vine's good at puns. So that's why he does it, or whatever. Harry's good at being, like, from Venus, whatever it is, right? Right?
Yeah.
And I'm good at doing a persona like that isn't me, because that's the thing I was interested in doing and it turned out I was good at, right?
Yes.
I literally wouldn't, and I've been a comic a long time, but I literally wouldn't know. If I had to go on tonight and do me, I literally wouldn't know where to start. I'd have to go on a course.
And I would love that. Someone there who's like dreaming of being a comic and just turning to their left. Is that how rubbish?
Well, you know what? I've thought about, because the other thing, I'm really interested in that. I've never been on a course, but I'm kind of fascinated by it because I know I'd go and they'd explain something. I'd be like, oh my God, I've been doing that the wrong way around my whole life. Oh, so that's how you write that. Or that's what that's called, right? Yeah. Because it's all, because the thing is, you know, again, to go back where we started, we didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
And also, there weren't any courses either, right?
Yes.
You couldn't be taught it, right? And there's a bit of me that maybe I'll, you know, dark glasses and a grow a moustache or something and sit at the back.
Go in, learn something out.
A baseball cap pulled down, you know, like because it would be, because I'm kind of, because if I had to do me, I literally, what do? Do I come on and go, oh God, you know, the tube was packed on the way here. What do you do? Like, where do you even start?
That is what you do.
I know.
I think my first live at the Apollo opens with me talking about people being asleep on the tube.
There we are, right? But I wouldn't know what to do. And sometimes, right, sometimes I have to do stuff as myself, right? Every now and again, like presenting, like corporate things, right?
Oh, right.
And they have me as me, like, because they can't cope with me coming and going, you're fat, he's bald, or whatever, right? Great to see a bald man out and proud, you know, all that, right? They don't want that, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll do, and what I do is I come on and go, don't worry, I'm not in character,
right?
And they go, so the people at the front row, you're safe.
Yeah.
Right, and then they go, what do you do? And they all go, like that, say, and they'll tell me, go, brilliant. That sounds great. And carry on, right? Yeah. And then I'll read the awards out, right? Because I've not got any patter, I've not got any stuff, because I've never done it, right? Yeah. And seriously, maybe I should go on a course.
Did you ever do panel shows?
Only a little. I don't really enjoy them at all. I've done. I really. I remember going on Mock the Week a really long time ago when Rory was still on it, and. It was like one of those, you know, when you're mugged by reality, where something suddenly like, oh, right, that's how that works. Oh, God. Right, I'd sort of gone thinking, oh, I'll wing it a bit, right? This will be all right. And then sat next to Rory in this great big fat script, and like, oh no.
Oh, God.
Why did I agree to this?
3 hours of this.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I cannot do the thing of still being ready to chuck in an hour and a half into it.
That's when Lazy Al turns up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's partly to do with I like putting on a show, right? My instinct is to put on a show.
I'm the same, yeah.
With a beginning, a middle, and an end, some through lines. The idea that by the end of the show you're in a completely different place, sort of in terms of the texture than you were at the start. So I come on and start off by going fat bloke, bald bloke, whatever. But by the end, you've got hopefully something quite involved.
Yeah.
That means they need to have listened to the whole thing. And tuned in, tuned in, right? And panel shows that they're the direct opposite of that.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
That basically, and I remember talking to Jimmy about this once because well, why don't you do more panel shows? Because I don't enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
It's not for me. And then a friend of mine used to work on 8 out of 10 Cats. She used to line produce it. And I remember, it's a friend of my wife's, right? And we're pals now. But I remember the first time I met her, she's going, well, how come you don't do it? I was like, oh, God, those shows are all crap. And, she's going, yeah, but we edit it, we get the best bits. It's like a greatest hits of an evening. So it's like,
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but I want no part in that. I want to tell a story. Or whatever. Or put it on a show.
Yes, yeah.
And if you're sat there like, and you haven't got anything to say, and I found And the thing
it's strange having a character also.
Well, no, I never did. They never wanted me to do the character on it. And the thing is so again, so then
you did Mock the Week without the Landlord.
Yeah, exactly. So then you're back, and I don't know. And the thing is, to this day, I don't know why not. Right? It was never satisfactorily explained to me why they didn't want me in character. And I didn't do it. It
doesn't make any sense. It'd be Landlords on Mock the Week would be fantastic.
Well, yeah, and I'd know what to say. Right? Yeah. So we go back to the thing I was just saying. Now, as me, I'm like, well, obviously there's two sides to everything, because that's how I feel about lots of stuff.
Exactly. Well, do you know what? I think the point is whether it's a character or a persona. I think comedians have to be irrational. You're irrational.
Yeah,
once you get up on stage and you leave rationality in the green room.
Yeah, and you have to. Yeah, exactly. You have to be irrational, and you have to be very definite.
Yeah, and
certain of everything.
Right? Certain, and and often what everyone is laughing at is the irrationality, and like you say, the certainty of what
building on
whatever they are saying.
Exactly. So you're building the certainty on top of the irrationality. Exactly.
Totally.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And that can present itself in all different ways. But if I was on, I'd be on Mock the Week going, well, I mean, obviously this government's got some difficult things to deal with here. It's an impossible situation, isn't it? Right. If it was me, whereas a pub landlord would be going, well, they're a shower of wankers, aren't they? Basic problem here is he's an android, whatever. You know what I mean, right? It's easy. But they know it, and I have had that thing.
I'd love that. Just rational, really rational, just on Mock the Week.
Going, well,
just being really. What's this guy doing? Well, you got to look at it from both sides.
You got to look at both sides, really. The balance of payment situation, and if you consider the oil price is going to go up, if you know what I mean, right? Because that's what I'm like, really.
And then someone going, Jeremy Corbyn looks like a supply teacher.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, but you shouldn't change who he is.
Yeah. Well, his appeal is that he look to the people that like him. That's what I'd be like, right? But the thing is, I mean, there's something actually quite funny in that, like in a sort of boring topical show. But
dear.
And I've done a couple over the years, but I always had this thing with this. So, well, we don't really want the character, and you'd sort of think, yeah, but that's what I do. That's what I'm good at, right?
And also, you don't know what not the character is.
Yeah.
You're going, don't want the character, but you don't know what you're asking for.
So what do you want from me? What am I in that case? And it's a really...
What am I?
It used to really bug me. And I sort of, the thing is...
What am I?
Yeah, what am I? Who am I? Please tell me, because I haven't worked it out yet.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll bring him, but I don't know who he is.
Exactly. And I don't know. Over the years, I've kind of like, the thing is, you do this a long time. You start to not sweat the things that often would drive you mad, right?
Yes.
And you just have to let them. Let them go away. And and I've had a great run. Things are fine.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all right.
Yes.
But even then, well, they want you on this, but not in character. You think, well, but me in character on this would be brilliant, right? And I know exactly what I'd do. I know exactly what to do. I would kill for them, don't worry. No, they think people have kind of seen it. Yeah, because that's what I do. There's nothing else.
People have seen it. What a reason.
Yeah. People have kind of seen it. But that goes back to that thing of the character. Characters don't check the character. It's the same.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the same, but it's funny.
You're right, though. That's the judgment, isn't it? People have seen it.
Yeah,
that is definitely the judgment of a character over a persona. The Pub Landlord, this character that you created, that you said was just on whim to fill some space.
Yeah,
literally. Yeah. Has it become more dimensional over the years and kind of filled out?
Yeah, it has. Yeah. And funnily enough, there was the sort of things I did with him when I first started doing him in the second half of the 90s, where I was really obsessing with it. There are bits and pieces of it that built into I've just dropped, have gone. They've faded out, they've faded away. And the big change that I made with him, because he used to have this thing about his son wife who run off with a Frenchman, his son, to motivate him being angry about the French.
Oh, right. And
I actually think he doesn't need motivating. He's just being irrational, right? It doesn't need motivating. But then also the other thing I was kind of doing is there was that period where everyone would do a thing about my dad died, my
the Edinburgh period.
Yeah. So I was sort of taking the piss out of that as well.
Oh, okay, I see. Right.
Yeah. But also it felt right at the time, and I've ditched that, because he's irrationally certain.
Yes.
the French are up to something, right? That's it doesn't need to be. There doesn't need to be a reason for thinking like that.
Yes,
because people don't have a reason for thinking like that when they think like that, right? They Germans have been too quiet for too long, right? What does that even mean, right? 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 It's funny though, right? Because it's irrational.
Without context, it's funnier.
It's
funnier without
exactly.
context.
So I let that go. But the big change I made, and this is about 15 years ago, where I really started to lead, because I did some arena gigs about 15 years ago, about which deeply mixed feelings. I was getting divorced at the time as well. So basically, I did 2 O2s. I've not done it since because I didn't really enjoy doing it. But I remember so basically the way that worked, she got the first night, I got the second night. and that is a way to make you feel good about yourself.
Fantastic, yes.
You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Look at you all. I'm not seeing a penny from this.
Yeah, understood.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you got the second night.
Yeah, I got the second night. Yeah. But, I wanted... Anyway.
Yes.
God, why did I bring that up?
It was the way the act had evolved and what things you were dropping from the act.
What you can't do if you're playing... Because what I used to do, the original idea with the Pub Landlord, and this is how I came up with it when I was working with Harry, so we were in the Pleasance Cabaret Bar, right? Which
Best one.
Like the back of your hand, like it's an amazing room, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we did our little pub band show. And the opening night, I was supposed to have come up with something, compere, and it hadn't worked. And it was another character and it didn't work, right? And that night I said to Harry, well, why don't we say that the compere didn't show up and the barman has offered to fill in.
Brilliant.
In the cabaret bar, right? And he went, yeah, whatever. Because it was another one of my bright ideas, right? And he's looking at his set list, working hard.
Yeah.
Hard-working Harry, stuff written on his cuffs and all that. And I went on and I wrote 3 things down, like they just sprung to mind, went on and did them, and they worked, right? And it was like, fuck, right? This works, right? Wow, what's going on here? And they were very, Edinburgh audiences can also be very like, they're into us. They were generous. They were excited about seeing Harry, so they let me do it, right? They gave me the moment, and he went on and did 45 minutes, and I'm like, right, I'm immediately like, What am I going to do next, right? And then we did a run, and that got a Perrier nomination, Comedy Award nomination, and then we went on a big tour, did like sort of 70 dates after that, and by the end of it, I had an act. Because we'd had to break the show in two halves, so I had to compare, and that's why the turn's so sort of outward facing as well. Because I basically had to compare, right?
Yeah.
And the one change, I made is the Pub Landlord now knows he's famous, right? That's the thing I had to change, because you can't play Nottingham Arena and him go, I'm just the barman who's stumbled on.
Yeah.
And early on in some clubs where I'd do it, in town, the punters would actually genuinely think, because I used to get the compere to go, unfortunately, so the landlord.
You did that.
I used to do that, and every now and again a punter would they wouldn't buy it, or they go, well, he's full of shit, this guy, this publican. They'd believe it, right?
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
You're in a comedy club, right? Nothing's really real. These stories are curated, right? He didn't really break up with his girlfriend last week, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
are you? By the way, how soon did you dress as it? And I'm sorry, I'm sure you're sick of answering all the questions.
Straight away. And the following day, I cut all my hair off, because he has to be baldish.
Yes.
Skinhead. He has to be, because it just makes you look. It's a clowning thing. It just makes you more extreme.
Absolutely.
And I had a sort of floppy fringe and all that, and it just made it funnier, right? Straight away. And then I put a costume together, and I used to wear a roll neck, right, with it, with a sort of wool jacket.
Yeah.
I would sweat my arse off in that.
Right. Okay.
So you think that doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll go for the tie and and the idea is he had this tie done up this morning, but he's been working all day changing barrels or talking crap. So he was smart this morning, scruffy now.
Okay.
Which is why the tie's undone.
That's funny. And I hope you don't mind. To tell you, I've not got it off the landlord, but my tie's down, loose.
Yeah.
So the story of, if you for some reason you're at my tour show, but you just might not know, you've been dragged along.
Yeah.
The tie for me just being loose with my hair just tells its own story a little bit of this guy's a bit dishevelled.
Yeah.
Well, not quite there.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
go.
And he's also, and you're wearing and the pub landlord's wearing a tie because he has to. Doesn't really want to wear one. He thinks you ought to. Doesn't really like wearing it. You know, like And that's what a tie kind of down a bit.
Yes.
I think says.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was trying to do. Anyway.
I love that I don't have to. When my tours, I wear a suit, but I don't tuck my shirt in.
There you are.
And oh my God, it's almost that's me because if I'm doing a corporate. Of course, I have to tuck my shirt in,
and you feel unnatural.
I hate it.
Yeah,
I tuck my shirt. Oh God! This is the character.
Yeah,
this guy tucking his shirt in.
Yeah, exactly. But so I've made him aware that because you can't play to 2,000 people, and it's like he's just wandered in, right?
Yeah.
Or it's an accident. So the thing I've really done, and what's weird is it sort of also coincided with, man of the people politics.
Yeah.
Always at the start of the shows, I always go, well, why am I here? Well, I'm here to help. Don't panic. I got the answers. Because there's also a bit of me that finds comics are so certain about politics quite funny because, and everyone can do does their own thing. But I also sort of think, but you're a comedian, right? So if you're anything like me, right, you're probably quite mercenary. You're like you know what I mean, like all the sort of negative things about comedy. You're enjoying the attention here. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
Right, so that's what I put into Pub Landlord. And so the start of the show, and I've done it since then. At the start of the show, I come on and go, country's in real trouble, but luckily someone's here to help. If I can turn this town round, I can turn anywhere round.
Yeah.
And then it's like 2 hours of complete bullshit, right? Which I think is a good pitch, and it fits him, and it's him going, it's kind of poor little old me.
Yeah.
If you insist,
yes.
Time cometh the hour, cometh the man, and all that, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is funny, right?
Very funny.
But also like it explains away why I'm talking about this, that, and the other.
Yes.
Why have I brought this up? Why have I brought that up?
Yeah. Were you always, when you were in boarding school and before you started comedy, was one of your things amongst your friends that you were known for was that you mimicked people, that you were able to sort of encapsulate them?
We would do a bit of that. The little gang I ended up with in the sixth form, that was it was like relentless piss taking of each other and teachers and stuff. And funnily enough, there's a whole gang of us. That crew, there's a WhatsApp group inevitably now.
Yeah.
Right, and we'll speak kind of once a week. And a while ago, I was at like a fate in Chiswick where I live, right on the common there, and this woman came up to me and said, "Al, you don't know me, but I'm the daughter of one of your teachers, right?" And I looked at her like again, and yeah, you are, aren't you? Wow, right? And so that then led to me and all of us on that WhatsApp group doing impressions of him. Doing our impressions of him
right.
from 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Talking at the strange voice like that to one another. Like that. And like this stream of drivel. Because we did do that. And that was a thing. It was a thing we were all into. This little gang of us.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a thing I did.
So, and I ask everyone this. You'll know the quote. Aristotle says, well, it's debated who says it, but we go with Aristotle. Aristotle says, show me a child until the age of, or give me a child until the age of 7 and I will show you the foundations of the man.
Yeah.
Aristotle sees Al Murray at 7.
Well, I was into making funny noises and I liked showing off. So I think it's all right. I think Aristotle's onto something. Yeah.
Would you be showing off to your parents?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I always remember. I always wanted to do school plays. I always wanted to do that sort of thing. I was really keen to pitch in, and I remember sort of when I was maybe sort of 11 or 12. I'd be desperate to be in school plays, and then not getting parts, and I'd think, what's wrong?
You're getting rejected that young.
I'm up for this, right? Those other kids don't want to do this as much as I do, right? And I gradually, during the fifth form and sixth form, I ended up playing a couple of lead roles in stuff at school, in school plays.
Serious?
We did. Well, no, actually, and We did a production of I did do some serious stuff. So we did a production of Midsummer Night's Dream, which we did over the summer holidays, right, with a whole bunch of us who wanted to do it with this drama teacher. And I played Oberon and Theseus in that. So like a lot of lines to learn and all that. And it was serious. But then the year before, we did a production of the play of The Marriage of Figaro, which is by Beaumarchais, who's a French writer. So not the opera. And it's a play about... And Figaro's getting married, and there's this idea of droit de seigneur, that the lord, the count, is allowed to sleep with the woman on her wedding night, as like him putting his marker down.
Right.
And it's a sort of farce basically, and there's a whole so old school comedy. So there's a mistaken identity thing in it, which is what always happens. I think Shakespeare is all people always mistaken. Yes. So there's a bit of mistaken identity, and I played Figaro in that, and he's like I think he's the count's sort of steward, the guy who runs the estate. So he has to do, and that was all I did. Mimicked people and did voices in that, and it was a proper, openly comic role. And I don't know why. I don't know. I'd have to ask him, because I'm still kind of in touch with my old drama teacher. I'd have to ask him.
Who gave you this part?
Who gave me the part? I should ask him why he cast me, because I think that was. I remember it being really good fun. Also, it's that thing like I think we did it 4 times. I think we did Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or it was a dress rehearsal on Thursday. And I remember and it's that thing when we talked about Edinburgh, like three weeks, like it's mind blowing. I remember at the time 4 nights. We're going to do this play like 4 times, man. Wow! Like God, this is like being in the theatre, right? Yeah. And so basically, the first night would be a bit ropey. Second night would be pretty good. Third night would be all right, and the fourth night would be people mucking about because it was finishing.
Yeah. The best night.
The best night, yeah. Yeah. So we did do a lot of that, mimicking and voices and stuff.
But do you remember? Often I talk to people, and they have, like, there might be a film or something, or often sometimes actually parents will take their children to a play, and there's a moment where someone, instead of just enjoying it, there are some children or young teenagers that go on to be performers because they didn't just enjoy it. They sat there and they went, "Oh, I want to do that."
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that I quite had that.
Why are you doing the plays then?
Because it just sort of looked like it would be amazing fun.
But you didn't get taken to the theatre or anything.
Well, no, my parents used to take us to Stratford to see Shakespeare, because my parents were quite concerned that we have a proper cultural education. Yeah. But I never watched one of those and thought, that's what I want to do.
Okay, fine.
I wanted the laughs, man.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning, I could tell that.
Great.
The glory was in laughter.
Yeah.
And I often think this, and because I did a play a couple of years ago, but it was a comedy, so it was all right. But I often, if I get an actor, I'll say to them, "How do you know how it's going?"
Yeah.
Right? Because we know, right? We get instant feedback. We know, like, almost to the point where if they don't laugh within a minute and a half, you think, "Oh shit!"
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
The sweat, that
cold
feeling,
sweat, and your mouth goes dry, and all that, and you're on thin ice.
I walk back. Well, I probably don't as much as, but back in the day when I started, I would know it was going badly because my back would hit the wall. I'd go, "Oh fuck! How have I ended up back here?"
Well, that's good. Yeah, there's no exit.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know, and the actual. Do you know
what do they say to you? Because I've heard an answer for this.
Well, they say you can tell when they're really listening.
Yes, the silence.
There's a sort of spell.
There's no coughing.
Yeah.
There's no movement.
Yeah.
You are listening for silence.
Yeah. You can tell when they're really listening. And then I've asked film actors, right, at this.
Yeah.
And they say, if the director calls cut, we move on, then I've done it right, haven't I? And you're like, oh my God. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that one bit, right? And that, that just suggests 3/4 of being a film actor is trusting people, right? And as a performer, I don't really trust anybody. Right?
Yes. Because we're very lucky because we have editors, and the editor is the audience.
Exactly. You write a show with an audience.
Yeah. And they go, "Not that bit."
Yeah.
And they do it through silence.
Exactly. They do it through silence, or like, which is worse than silence. But yeah, exactly. You write a show with an audience, right? You don't.
Yes.
You might look like a one-man band, but it's the idea though that a director would go, "Could do it again," but like, that would And imagine you like 15 takes into a thing and they still haven't called cut. There's a really brilliant story Matt Damon told that I saw when he worked with Clint Eastwood. So
I've not heard this one.
Oh, so he did this film called Invictus about South African rugby, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Nelson Mandela and all that. Anyway, basically, he spent 6 months working on a South African accent because he's a rugby player in it, right? And he spent 6 months. A guy would come around his house every morning. They'd do 2 hours of South African accent stuff. So his first day on set, Eastwood, they set the scene up. He calls action. They do the scene. Eastwood goes, cut, moving on. And Matt Damon's like, what? He goes, well, you know, I'm happy with that. He goes, yeah, but I've spent 6 months working on this voice. Right. And Eastwood goes, do you want to waste everyone's time here with this? Let's do the next, we're moving on. Right. And that the idea of that kind of trust, they like it. Yeah. So how actors, that's the other thing, is we get to make our own luck to an extent. How actors wait for phone calls.
I know. I don't. You can. We can always get up on stage.
Yeah, there's always somewhere where they go, you're all right.
Yeah. If I have to. Someone's pulled out.
Yeah, I can fit you in. Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy, and I know the listeners will love it. It's a brilliant episode. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.